We usually see the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge in royal engagements since those are the moments that bring the most material to make good body language analysis. But this one is special because it's a great opportunity to spot 3 body language clues of a couple when they are absolutely in sync with each other. And you are going to be part of this analysis, so let's see if you can spot these subtle signals. Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and it would be great if you join us by just liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Let's get down to it. There are a lot of pictures from that day, but I'm going to start with this one because it displays a very interesting dynamic. You might think that there's not much information to get from a single picture, but I usually tell my students to take their time and relax as they are looking at a photo. What happens most of the time is that you want a snap interpretation, you want to extract those emotions quickly, but you just can't do that way. And the problem is that thanks to constant scrolling, whether it's Instagram or TikTok, you're used to skip video and images just like that. So that's how you miss details like this. William's tense neck and tense jaw, his raised eyebrows, the pressure of his right hand over his left, his chest is tense and a bit inward, and at the same time you notice that Catherine has her jaw tense too, and her hands in some way mimic those of William's. Also, there are other signals that are a bit more difficult but not impossible to spot, like negative space, or letting your brain treat them as just silhouettes, so that helps you appreciate the distance between them. There's also the head angles that sometimes are a bit hard to spot, but are critical to confirm the synchronization of a couple. And of course, what did your intuition tell you at first sight? And this is just an image. That's why videos require a different category of analysis. But images can be useful because they let you take your time to focus in all those subtle signals. In this case, William is saying something with real emphasis. He's talking, but at the same time, his neck and his shoulders are tense. Even if he usually keeps his elbows close to his body, something that I think is part of royal body language, so to speak, you can see the pressure in one hand over the other. At the same time, Kate is mirroring him. She doesn't have her hands in the same position, but they are closing that circle. They are touching one another. She's looking at him, and as she watches him speak, she tenses her jaw too. You can see her jaw projecting a little bit towards William. This is a signal of being in sync since she is watching her husband talk and she's noticing, most probably in a subconscious manner, that he's emphasizing the topic emotionally, and that's why William's jaw is tense. So she's got this reflex of a tense jaw at the same time. Most probably you have already felt this phenomenon many times where you're watching an action movie or a thriller and maybe one of the characters is doing a huge amount of effort to reach out for a key or a gun or something, and you realize that your own body is tense, feeling that same effort on the screen even if you know that it isn't really happening. This is the kind of signals that you can spot in couples that are mutually engaging with one another. When one of them is talking, the other is mirroring the mannerisms, the gestures, the tension, the emotion in a very subtle way. The other example would be a couple that has absolutely nothing in common, and when one of them is talking, the other doesn't seem very engaged or interested, or maybe could show even boredom or frustration. But as such, these signals are going to be really subtle, so that's why studying images of couples is so good to developing these skills. And by the way, you can refine your observation skills with my 100 body language tips that you can download right in the description of this video. There's another picture that is a great example to practice all these synchronization details that you just found out. It's this one. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's just the same moment, maybe a few seconds before or after, but we have the benefit of a close-up so we can focus on facial expressions. Again, there's a couple features that we can spot in William's expression, that is the tense neck and jaw and the raised eyebrows. One funny fact about tense jaws and necks is that you can detect the firstborn between two brothers just by the way one of them talks with a stiffer neck or jaw. Firstborns tend to be more tense in this regard, in the jaw and neck muscles. But what is really interesting about this photo is that the same tension that we see in William's face, we see it perfectly replicated on Catherine's face. William is talking, so he's tensing his mouth, his lips, and you can spot that Kate also has a tension in her mouth. In this case, it's just a subtle pressing of the lips. If there are more muscles of the mouth involved or the lips disappear completely due to the pressure, that could signal frustration or that the person does not like what they are hearing. But in this case, Kate's lip pressure is on par with William's mouth tension speaking. Now this is going to be a bit harder to spot, but Kate has her head so slightly forward in William's direction. This is important because of that her neck is tense. So William is tensing his neck and she is tensing hers too. There is a very funny exercise that I recommend for anyone that wants to learn body language at any stage, at any level, and it's mimicking as much as you can someone's body language. Their body, their neck, their facial expression. You can pick any photograph and you can try to mimic their expression as closely as you can. It's much better if you avoid exaggerated facial expressions because they are not that common. It's much more common that we express our feelings in subtle ways, such as this, so this kind of photographs are really good for this exercise. And Kate's face has a third detail that is really easy to miss, and it's those wrinkles on the right side of her forehead. We don't see them on the left side, so there's a very small tension on those muscles in response to watching William's eyebrows raise. That's why you sometimes watch a photo of a couple and you just feel them in the same page, but you can't exactly tell why. And I cannot stress this enough. We're not used to take our time watching photos, truly observing details. And today we have access to photographs with all the details we need. It's a great resource to polish our body language analysis skills. There's one last picture that I wanted to show you today, and it's a bit more difficult in terms of body language, but it's still a good exercise to pay attention to the way they stand, the way they look at each other, what is the tension that you can feel in their bodies, and how would you feel if you were next to them. There are all the levels that you can imagine to this kind of body language analysis, because the next step is being able to do all this during a conversation with two or more people and without looking at them directly, but instead out of the corner of your eye. Not to mention that you need to pay attention at what they are actually saying. Please never forget that, because you must be aware of what kind of verbs and adjectives do they use, or if they speak in visual terms or sound terms and so on. In a frantic world filled with distraction no matter where you look, it really pays off to relax and truly see, because that's how we get to understand the emotions of others, and that will lead you to know yourself better. And that is the ultimate goal. If you want to support my channel and help me make more videos, all you have to do is like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of my body language analysis and tips. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas, and I'll see you soon, my body language buddies.